Well, a busy day for the government ahead of the state opening of Parliament as the Prime Minister uses the King's Speech to outline the government's legislative agenda.
And joining us now from Westminster is the Secretary of State for Justice, Alex Chalk. A very good morning to you, and we're being told in the briefings that this is going to be a King's Speech. Good morning, very much focused on law and order. I want to ask you straight away, you know, this is the sort of press release that's been sent out. We want to build on the progress that we've made as the government in keeping our streets safer. The specific case of Jordan McSweeney, who was convicted for the murder of Zara Alina, he recently had his sentence reduced. Now, you want to try and tackle these sorts of cases. Under the changes you proposed today, would he be behind bars for the full term?
So all these things are ultimately a matter for the court, which retains ultimate discretion, but it is precisely those kinds of cases that are at the heart of these measures. So we want to ensure that where a murder takes place, and it is a particularly evil murder, they're all incredibly serious, but that's to say there is sexual context or indeed sadism, that individual should expect to spend the rest of their life behind bars. Now, that's important for public protection so that they're not out in the public and can commit that offence again, but also we think that that meets the justice of the case. So yes, those who commit those most serious murders can expect for life to mean life and for them never to be released again.
What do you think, Alex, is the most significant part of the speech today?
Well, look, as you've already indicated, that criminal justice is going to be at the heart of this. So we want to ensure that public protection is a theme which runs through these measures. So we want to ensure, as I've indicated, for those most serious offenders, life means life, and also for rape offenders that they should expect to spend the entirety of that sentence in custody. But also this, protecting the public also means reducing reoffending. So reoffending has actually come down quite considerably since 2010, but we also want to ensure that those less serious offenders, those who can be rehabilitated, are rehabilitated, because ultimately that's what protects the public as well.
I think there will be people watching this morning who'll find it a bit rich that you're trying to portray yourselves as the party of law and order, and yet we've had headlines for the last 2 days about a serial sex offender within your own ranks, and Baroness Varsi coming out and saying that there was rot at the heart of the party, that you have a problem with handling these sorts of allegations.
Well, obviously, any allegation of rape is incredibly serious, and we are absolutely clear is that if there is a complaint, then the police should be notified in the normal way. But it's because we care so deeply about this offending that's why, as I say, when we came into government in 2010, all rapists would be automatically released at the halfway mark. Halfway through their sentence, automatically released. We thought that's not right, which is why we changed the law so that it's a minimum of 2/3. But now, under these reforms, people will serve the entirety of that sentence in custody. This is a serious matter. We're prosecuting more people for rape than in 2010. They're getting longer sentences and they're spending longer in custody. So, of course, anybody who has a concern and wants to make a complaint about rape should go to the police to do it. People should be convicted, punished and disgraced for this incredibly serious crime.
Isabel pointed out there the irony of those rape allegations with someone within the party. But can't you see the irony that the Conservatives come out and they beat the drum every single year about you are the party of law and order, and you clearly are not. People feel you don't support the police. People feel you don't support the Crown Prosecution Service, the whole court system where barristers and lawyers aren't being paid a proper rate as well. The whole thing is crumbling down, yet you guys think you can come out, say what you want now, which is what you do. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. And this is pure, I suppose, just riling people up to vote for you come the election because they're going to be frightened off the alternative.
I respectfully disagree. So, on the 3 points you raised, so far as police is concerned, we have more police in this country than at any time in our history. So that was a recruitment of additional 20,000. In terms of the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, I was a barrister by background, significant investment in the CPS so that there are more rape prosecutors. And in terms of putting money into legal aid barristers, I was a legal aid barrister myself. I cared deeply about this issue. We're increasing funding by up to an additional £141 million so that there are the barristers there who do a phenomenal job up and down the country to ensure that the guilty are convicted, the innocent walk free and the public are protected. We are passionate about supporting the criminal justice system and the excellent men and women who work in it. And it's ultimately
why don't you just pay them properly then? If you're passionate about the system, pay to get the quality that you need.
But respectfully, you're absolutely right about that, and that is precisely what we're doing. So in terms of the police, we accepted the independent pay review. In terms of barristers, who you refer to, the legal aid barristers, we are putting that additional money into the system. And just one example, and this goes back to the issue of rape, we want to ensure that rape victims can get their evidence in the can, as it were, pre-recorded under these Section 28 measures. I've increased the amount that we will pay to barristers for those very hearings so that they can be there to ensure that if they're on behalf of the Crown, they can take that witness through their evidence, and indeed they can be cross-examined as well. So we think that this is enormously important to stand up on part of victims, but also to put our money where our mouth is.
Can you explain to me the reasoning for the legislative changes to the licences for oil and gas drilling? Labour are calling it an unnecessary gimmick, and Claire Coutinho has come out in the last few days saying it's not necessarily going to help anybody with their bills. Why are you bothering with it?
So I think it's massively important that we ensure that at a time when Putin was trying to hold the world to ransom, including our country to ransom, that we should safeguard our gas supplies. Now, I believe passionately that we should get to net zero. But this is a really important point. We are going to all use some gas at some point. Some of your listeners watching this or viewers will themselves be using gas to get through the winter. Now, we can either bring in the gas from the United States or indeed Peru or Qatar, and that's incredibly carbon intensive because you've got to pressurise it, you've got to cool it, you've got to transport it, or we can use our domestic resource and ensure that that creates jobs and livelihoods in our country. And it just seems to make sense, and it's a bad argument to say, well, let's just go and use a whole load of carbon to ship it into Milford Haven or the Isle of Grain or wherever it is from halfway around the world.
Okay.
That's just kind of putting, that's politics as performance. It's not sensible. It's much more sensible to use your own oil and gas as we bridge to that clean future.
Alex, as we understand it, we may well be wrong, that the stuff is drilled by international companies who then sell it on the international market, and we would have to buy it back from an international market. So giving the perception that you dig a hole in the North Sea and then it goes straight into Aberdeen and it's all there for Britain doesn't seem to be correct.
Well, look, I mean, the specifics, I think it's important that, Claire will deal with those points on the Justice Secretary, as you know. But the central point is a reasonable one. The central point is a reasonable one, which is that if you are going to get gas onshore into the UK, and you make a point about it being sold elsewhere, but if you're going to get it onshore into the UK, it is much more sensible, and by the way, it is much greener to do so from closer to home rather than literally pressurising this stuff and put it on a tanker and sending it through from Qatar through the Suez Canal or even around the Cape of Good Hope.
I just want to squeeze in one last question. Yes or no answer will suffice. 7 out of 10 Conservative Party members would like to welcome Nigel Farage back into the party. Are you one of them?
This isn't a yes or no. I don't think there's any application, so I think it's an academic question, but fair question all the same.
OK.
Fair answer, Secretary of State. Thanks for your time.